Ever feel like your motivation just took a hike? Like you're stuck staring up at this mountain of goals?
Happens to the best of us. You're definitely not alone there.
But hey, what if we told you that we have a little toolkit, some strategies to transform those big climbs into something, well, way more doable?
We're talking about ditching the overwhelm and actually enjoying the journey.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. 5 power-packed tips to unlock that motivation you've been searching for.
Consider this your pep talk and strategy session all rolled into one.
We're calling this a deep dive for a reason, right? We're going beyond the surface, getting into the nitty-gritty of why these tips work and how you can actually use them.
Think of it like we're handing you a map and compass for your motivation journey.
And our trusty guide for this adventure, this collection of practical tips called 5 Tips for Increasing Your Motivation. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Tip number 1, set clear, achievable goals.
Seems straightforward, like.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love a good goal? But I think we've all been guilty of maybe setting goals that are a little too vague. Like, I want to write a book, but what does that even mean?
Exactly. It's like saying you want to climb a mountain without deciding which peak you're going for, what route you're taking. You need that clarity to create a plan to even take that first step.
So true. It's like having a destination in mind before you set off on a road trip.
Okay.
Speaking of which, tip number 2 is all about breaking those tasks down. Smaller steps, people.
This is where things start to feel manageable. Because, let's face it, staring at a massive goal can be paralyzing. But when you break it down into smaller chunks, suddenly, it's not so intimidating.
Okay, so instead of write a book, it's write 1,000 words this week.
You got it. And the best part, every time you tick off one of those smaller tasks, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine, that feel-good hormone.
It's like our brain's way of saying, keep going, you're on a roll. I'm all about those little wins.
And there's actually a psychological reason why this works so well. It's called the Zeigarnik effect.
The what now?
Zeigarnik effect. It's this quirky thing where our brains tend to remember unfinished tasks more than completed ones. Ever notice how that one task you didn't finish keeps popping up in your mind?
Oh, all the time. It's the worst.
Exactly. So by breaking things down, we're essentially creating more open loops for our brains to latch onto, which in turn keeps us motivated to close them.
So it's like tricking our brains into staying engaged. I like it. It's all about strategy, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of strategy, let's move on to tip number 3, which is arguably the most enjoyable one.
Yeah.
Reward yourself.
Yes. This is where we celebrate those wins, no matter how small.
Because let's be honest, who doesn't love a little reward for their efforts?
It's like a little pat on the back, but from yourself.
Precisely. And there's actually a scientific reason why this works so well. It all comes down to positive reinforcement. Our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So when we reward ourselves for a desired behavior, in this case, making progress towards our goals, we're strengthening that neural pathway.
So it's like training our brains to crave those wins because we associate them with something positive.
Exactly. Think of it like training a dog. You give them a treat when they do something right, and over time, they learn to repeat that behavior.
It's like that satisfaction of finally getting to check something off your to-do list, but with a bonus prize at the end.
Exactly. And the reward doesn't have to be anything huge either. It could be something as simple as taking a break to read your favorite book or treating yourself to a fancy coffee.
Right. It's all about finding what motivates you. And the good news is those little rewards can add up to big results in the long run. So we've talked about setting goals, breaking them down, and rewarding ourselves. But how do we keep that momentum going?
That's where our next 2 tips come in. Tip number 4 is all about the power of visualization.
I love this one. It's all about harnessing the power of our imagination.
Exactly. By creating a vivid mental picture of yourself achieving your goal, you're essentially planting the seed in your subconscious mind.
So it's like creating a movie in your mind where you're the star and everything goes exactly as planned.
Precisely. And the more detailed you can make this visualization, the more real it will feel and the more motivated you'll be to make it a reality. It's not just about daydreaming. It's about actively creating a mental roadmap to success.
And finally, our 5th and final tip. Stay accountable.
This one can be tricky for some people.
It's easy to get excited about a new goal, but then life happens, distractions pop up, and suddenly we're back to square one. That's where accountability comes in.
Exactly. By sharing your goals with someone else, whether it's a friend, family member, or mentor, you're creating a sense of responsibility.
It's like having a workout buddy. Knowing someone is expecting you to show up, even when you don't feel like it, can make all the difference. And it's not just about having someone to check in with, it's about having a support system, someone to cheer you on and offer encouragement when things get tough.
Exactly. It's about building a community of support around your goals.
So there you have it, folks. 5 powerful tips to unlock your motivation. Set clear goals, break them down, reward yourself, visualize success, and stay accountable.
Remember, motivation isn't something you find. It's something you create. It's an ongoing process, not a destination.
So true. So as you go about your week, we challenge you to pick one goal, just one, and apply these tips. What's that one thing you've been putting off or that dream you've had on the back burner for far too long? What's that first step you can take today to make it happen?
Remember, even the smallest action can create a ripple effect, leading to bigger and better things.
Until next time, stay motivated.